This is St. Kankom of Top Spear TV. And as we all know, race is an issue in this country. And how did we get here? So where I live, in Virginia, Petersburg, I decided to dig a little bit into it. And one of the greatest things that happened in the Civil War, American Civil War, happened here in Petersburg. So what I did was I took time off to come and really look into it. Because if we don't know where we're coming from, we don't know where we're going. And I believe that when you move to another country, you need to learn the history so you can really understand it.
The Siege of Petersburg is actually the culmination of 6 weeks of fighting between Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia and the Army of the Potomac, led by General George Meade. That actually starts in May of 1864, which is part of General Grant's his broader plan, which is aimed at bringing about an end to the war. So he's actually going to launch multiple offensives across the South. One of those becomes known as the Oakland Campaign, and that's what's going to bring the Army of the Potomac and Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia here to Petersburg. And that's they'll get here in June of '64, and then they're going to be here until April of 1865. So 9.5 months later, nearly 10 months later, they're going to spend here in Petersburg. And then
the Siege of Petersburg was the longest military campaign of the Civil War. 9.5 months of combat. 70,000 casualties. A landscape devoured by war. The suffering of civilians. Thousands of U.S. colored troops fighting for the freedom of their race. And the titanic clash of two great generals. The Confederacy's Robert E. Lee and the Union's Ulysses S. Grant.
Most of the Civil War was fought trench style. So what a trench style is that the Union soldiers who are from the north and the Confederate soldiers met here, and a lot of people died. So come on, let me show you how the trenches work. Typical trench. You dig in the trench, and where we are standing now, a lot of people died. The siege was for 9 months, but thousands and thousands perished here, just in the name of freedom. So typically this is your Civil War kind of scenario. They dig the trench, they have the cannon waiting. And don't forget, all this was in the name of freedom. How did we get here? So usually on the battlefront, this is the cabin that you get. You don't get anything fancy. This is your typical Civil War cottage. This is where the captain will be. This is where the whole thing will happen. And this is where, the desk and stuff like that. A wise man once told me that nobody wins in a war. Nobody wins. So right here, we're standing at Fort Stedman. A lot of people died here in the name of freedom. So I keep asking, how did we get here? How did all these race issues started? We have to dig into the Civil War. Follow me. So here in Petersburg, like I told you, the siege was for 9 months. And at the end of the day, the Confederate lost. So on this place that we are looking, for 9 months, General Lee and all those, they did what they can, but always freedom is the talking point here. So, like I said, how did we get here? Nobody wins in a war, right? But we should not forget that while they were fighting, the black army, the slaves, were fighting alongside with the Union soldiers. Okay, so the siege of Petersburg took 9 months. And during the 9 months, it was hectic. So all these fields around me, a lot of people died, all in the name of freedom. But there's one cool thing about this pack that I love. They've made it digital. That means when I push here, I don't need a tour guide. It tells me,
the rebels are coming. The rebels are coming. A frightened Union picket brought the first warning of the onslaught on Fort Stedman. Drowsy Union cannoneers and infantrymen had barely reached their post before the
yes,
Confederate
things have
storming
changed.
parties
This is
swarmed
very
the
cool.
battery
And
fort.
we are at
Then the
Petersburg
fort itself.
battlefield, checking to
Thousands
see
of Confederate
most about the
armed
things that were hidden in the
infantry
Civil War.